News that I just received today.
Okay, how are you? You? Great, great. Thank you for the time. And it's amazing we've known each other for a very long time, but we never got to sit down and have a chat. And it's a pleasure to have you. You have a fight coming up. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. We have like good training camp
Yeah.
over in Bahrain. Second time I'm fighting in Abu Dhabi. Not first time in Middle East, probably ninth time or 10th my fight in Middle East altogether. Like 3 fights in Brave.
And the amateur.
2 fights in Brave, and my second fight in UFC in Middle East.
Yeah. But then you also did your world championships here in 2018.
8 fights, yes.
Yeah.
8 fights. So 2-time world championships.
So it's almost like coming to your home now.
Yeah, I feel when I walk out, I feel like I'm in my backyard.
Yeah. How's your stay here, your training camp going?
Amazing. We have like great training partners, coaches around the world coming to helping me, and all facilities what we need.
No, perfect. Mokaev, I've always look back and I know that we've known each other since you were almost 16 or 17 years old. And then I always wonder that now you're 23 years old. And we're looking back and saying that, and I read your stories and I always wonder that 10 years of your life since you moved to UK, it's been a very busy, active, and a lot of things going on in your life. So if you could put it in a nutshell and say that, how was your past 10 years? I mean, the things you've gone through, I don't know if you even had the time to sit back and look back and say that, okay, that's when I reached UK and all the things that has happened to you in your life. And here you are fighting in one of the biggest cards of UFC. For me, it's one of the greatest cards I've ever seen, you know? So
Yeah.
to be here today and do that, did you ever, or was it too fast of a life that you didn't have time till now to look back and see that past 10 years?
It's not like it jumped on my head, the hype and everything. I worked for it, and I was doing step by step towards this event, for example, right? So I had like amateur career. I have a lot of grappling tournaments, a lot of move around the countries, and everything was step by step. So it wasn't really like a big surprise for me. I think what I worked for, I deserve where I'm today.
And when did this come into your mind that, so when you moved from Dagestan to UK and you started training in Manchester Academy, but when you're in UK, when did this click into your head that I want to do MMA? Was that always there before this?
So basically, I was competing for British national team in wrestling. I couldn't compete internationally because of my refugee status before. I couldn't travel for 5 years, basically. I had to stay in UK. And once I start traveling, I think I want to be different to other refugees. I want to make a little bit history.
Yeah.
Just for my family, for like other refugees, to inspire younger generation to be different. Not just coming to I don't know what most refugees do, work like delivery, taxi, something like different to all this sociality, you know, like
Yeah.
people get used to comfort zone. I want to get out of the comfort zone and try myself in different atmosphere.
And do you think that MMA is the way to go, or were you having 3-4 options and see what hits best?
Yes, MMA was better for me because I couldn't find challenge in wrestling anymore. I was 6-time British wrestling champion, and I want to challenge myself where I can lose or something to improve, work on my skills. So I moved to MMA. You didn't need British citizenship in MMA.
Of course.
And then once I received my travel document, I could compete for Great Britain in IMOFs.
Yeah, and you're right. Everything you are today, you worked for it, you earned it, and you pushed hard to move forward, whether it is your citizenship or anything else. I know how much work you've put into it and how much passion you had for it. But where was that point that put into your head that, Mokaev, you've done wrestling enough, focus on MMA, there's a future there? Was it your coaches, or was it the team, or was it you watching athletes that you know from where you come from?
To be honest, I just found the sport that I don't need citizenship, so
Yeah.
where I can compete. But I was winning. I was beating the guys in the grappling tournaments who are like professional MMA fighters at when I was age 16, 17.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking these guys like 5-0, 6-0 pro. Why? What's the difference between grappling and tournaments and going inside the cage with them? I'm still gonna grapple with them,
True.
and I feel the power I have because I always did senior session. I was too advanced for juniors, and I always like from a young age doing senior sessions. I was like somebody could be good striker. I took him down, and I think I can do this.
And your first amateur fight was how old you were?
I was 16 years old. I remember even Sheikh Khalid tagged you in a post. It's
Yes.
still that post. If you scroll down all the way my to Instagram page, there's he tagged you and say like watch out for this kid, and I was 1-0 amateur.
Oh, you know, with Sheikh Khalid, I know from a long time that he has this special eye for talent. But when he tagged me on your post, I was like, okay, let me check this guy out. And immediately when we first met, me and His Highness, and he said, did you check this guy out? I said, yeah, okay, great, you know. He said, wait and watch. Remember this, you know. And it's unbelievable how things from there took off. And you mentioned that you wanted to get into a sport that didn't have a lot to do with the nationality, and that would have been easier for you. But it wasn't really easy, right? I mean, you still could, you did your amateur fights, but you couldn't go internationally and compete. And I remember your event in Bahrain. Oh, that was also a challenge to come into a country.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a call from some of our organizers, and they were like, we have a person here in Bahrain, but I think there's a problem. He cannot enter. And I'm like, what's going on? And it's like, he just doesn't have a passport. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I remember I was 16 hours, something like this, at the airport. I was 16 hours at the airport. It's a lot of difficulties I had with this travel document. Even I was transiting Qatar one time, traveling to Oceanic Championship, and my flight from Manchester to Qatar got delayed, so I missed connective flight from Qatar to Australia to Gold Coast, and so they say we can give you a hotel, you know, the Etihad Airways.
Yes.
So, but I couldn't leave the airport because
Yeah.
with this travel document you cannot leave like Qatar to Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, and I said, what can I do? He said, you have to stay at the airport for 24 hours. So Qatar have like nice airports, so they have like swimming pool, the gym inside. Just pay $50, and I stayed there for 24 hours. I slept in change room, and exactly same situation was for 16 hours in Bahrain. But I was hoping that they was telling me like next hour you're gonna leave the airport, and it was for 16 hours. I didn't want to call anyone, and when I already got tired, you know, I was competing next day. The Sheikh Khalid helped me with this.
Yeah. No, I remember that, and you did perform in that event as well. I mean, that you showcase why you had to be in the country and compete in that show.
Yeah.
And you always told the show when it comes to IMMAF, when you put IMMAF as an organization, if there's a Hall of Fame, if there's a legendary status, you are definitely one of those individuals who have represented that. But that gets me to a very interesting topic that I've been speaking to Sam, and I've been speaking to some guys when we discuss fighting, is that you started competing at the age of 15 or 16 in MMA. You know, that's a very young age to compete in MMA at an amateur level. And from there, once you got the opportunity to be able to travel and compete in Bahrain, you came, you showcased your talent, you fought against the best, and you did become one of the best athletes in IMMAF. And with all those years passing by in 2020, when you crossed over to the professional side, what would you say your real experience is? You know, people say that my background is jiu-jitsu, my bagground is Muay Thai. You know, everybody has some backgrounds. I mean, at the olden times, now it's different. Everybody knows everything to be at the highest level. But would you say my core background is any more, you know, wrestling or grappling anymore? Because you are doing MMA since 15-year-old, you know? So it's almost like MMA is your background.
I think my background is MMA. I wouldn't say I'm a striker, I'm a wrestler. I can do everything. Whatever, like, opponents now, I can face any opponent in the world right now. Whatever whatever opponents I have. Now, like, for example, I'm fighting Team Elliot, right? So like looking at him, I would say he's a wrestler. He's a wrestler. He's awkward MMA fighter. He doesn't have any like a background. He never competed in amateur, and for me, mentally, I went through so many amateur fighters, right? Like from Russia, from Mexico, from America, like all Kazakhstan, and they all different fighters. So I was getting ready for any style, and I was training for MMA fight. I never trained like for like boxing championships or something like this. So I believe I'm complete MMA fighter.
And definitely, yeah. But when you're 23-0 at the amateur level, you know, I mean, that's not a small record to have, and that's not just. It's just not about 23-0. That's a fantastic record for anybody to look at. But that amount of fights and the experience that you've had, you know, fighting 3 fights a day, 2 fights a day, and you it doesn't matter who's in front of you, you know. So that experience is priceless. How would you say that if you talk to someone, next generation, or people who are with you, and also in the gyms, you travel around the world, you train with a lot of guys, you know, top guys, top different gyms. Some are starters, some are experienced guys. But do you feel like there is a difference, or do you sense that difference of the value of going through that amateur ranks compared to the guys that they're still somehow hard to break from their, let's say, from where they came, you know, from which sport they came? Do you see that difference in your training camps when you train with the top guys?
Yes, I believe like who didn't come from amateur career. We can take example like Lomachenko, Triple G in boxing. Anthony and Joshua, they have more success in professional, and they get more recognition than some the professional who has like 20 wins, no losses against nobody's basically. They already have a name. You're also building the name before you're getting to a professional league.
Yeah, and now you've become the face and the example of why the next generation should get into the amateur ranks and not hurry into
I mean, depends what team you have. You know, like for example, like Kazakhstan, Bahrain, Russia, they have like strong amateur teams. But there's some countries that are missing, the coaches are missing selection for the team. For example, England, I don't know how many medals maximum they have, maybe 1 or 2 out of 30 people competing. I think it's knowledge of the coaches need to be there, I think, too. And if it's not there, if it's not right team, I think you should compete in your local amateur tournaments. Local amateur, I did compete a lot of local shows.
Yes.
Try your best there and compete in Europe if it's not IMAF. Sometimes it depends on federation. I think the strongest federations is Bahrain, Kazakhstan, Russia, and there's American teams. I think this right now strongest team, and the other countries is just the trampoline for them. You get experience, but sometimes when you get selected wrong, like they just get beat up, and they lose their belief and confidence.
I also think it's because the lack of foundations in the countries. I think we're talking about the International MMA Federation. IMMAF has been, it started just 10 years back. And I think the more you find that development program, countries like Russia knows mixed martial art and the value of it. Bahrain, because of His Highness Sheikh Khalid, he understood that we have to put focus on MMA and put all the support, same like Kazakhstan. But a lot of other countries, they haven't yet understood mixed martial art or the amateur background. So I think there's a big development program there's a hole there that needs to be filled. And I think if you look at IMAF, the continental federations have been formed only recently. So now you have more continental events going on, Africans, Pan-American Championship, which we did with the Brave International Combat Week this year. So there is room for growing. And I think once the foundation is there, you will have more national tryouts, you'll have more competition. You had to go into promotions, the amateur promotions, and compete there, but you were being proactive. There's no automatic system that you could go to a gym and it will be qualified to a national tryouts. And the system did not exist, you know, because the federation wasn't strong. I think now with IMAF, what they're doing and what they're pushing forward to, and it's not alone because there's a lot of support and fighters like you are becoming the face of it to say why we need that IMMAF's system in our country or the structures in our country, because we are seeing the likes of Mokaev and the likes of Shahid Torres who are coming out of there and being at the top of the world, So I think you all have a part to play in it, and it's growing very fast and in a right way. And hopefully one day that amateur career will also be gifted through participation in Olympics for MMA. One day, let's hope for that. But you've been a person who's been always busy when it comes to fighting, and that's something that I think when you start your pro career, a lot of people, they do a lot of amateur career. I mean, not MMA specifically, but I'm talking about boxing and other sports.
Yeah.
And when they go pro, they feel like, now I don't have this calendar, Continentals, World Championship, Olympics, I can take my own time, make my own decisions. Yeah. When I want to fight, I can choose, and I can look at matches. And they always, I see them fighting 3 fights in 5 years, and they slow down. But you didn't do that. You started your pro career, and if I'm not mistaken, you had like 7 pro fights in the first year or so.
Yeah, I did, to be honest. Even when it was COVID time, I was like ready to travel anywhere. And like in UFC, I had 4 fights in 1 year, which is, I think, the most fights. I mean, people probably had more fights, but I have most wins over 1 year in UFC. And I only had my debut in professional in 2020 in August. Yeah. So within 3 years, I had 11 professional fights.
Exactly. So I think 2020 August, maybe I had to fact check that, but 2020 August to 2021 October or something, within this period of 1 year, you had almost 7 fights. Yeah. And 6 of them was in Brave event, and it wasn't like easy fights that's coming in. You've been going back to back with whatever is in front of you. But although that was a goal you had, that you want to be the youngest champion, and you had that mentality, you had your vision very clear. But at the same time, you also knew one thing that I always respect about you is that you know a lot of things about the business of MMA. And that's something that you're almost acting as a MMA promoter while you're fighting right now, So, and for us, for me as well as Brave Combat Federation president, I think I've never seen a debut fight that exciting or that hyped up like the fight you had with Glenn, and how and how that fight turned up and how exciting it was. I mean, how important do you think that is during? Is it something that you do? You understand the business side of it?
Yeah, to be honest, I know how.
Or was it just that you hated Glenn?
No. I didn't even know about him till fight week, because remember we had 5 pullouts within like 2-3 weeks.
Right.
We have to find, but I think because I had undefeated record, and every time I talk shit to everyone at the weigh-ins, at everywhere, and people that likes me or they hate me, they're still gonna watch because they want to see my zero to go away, and they're still gonna tune in and see do I talk and walk, you know what I mean? So they want to see this fight, and Glenn was one of them. He was saying like he's overhyped, and every fighter saying this, overhyped, and I said, come and take my hype away. What's the problem? Yep. And I believe if we didn't do this, all the media before the fight, nobody would know about this fight too.
And I think that's a part of the business, right? I mean, at the end of the day, but that's how smoothly you transitioned. What surprised a lot of people is that you've been doing amateur fights for so long, and then your first fight itself, you clicked. You knew now this is the professional world. This is where there's a difference. It's not just going and fighting. There's so much more around it, and the importance of media. I mean, like I was telling the guys, you're at the last phase of your training camp, and you're here having this talk with me. So these are a few things that you really value and you understand it. And at the same time, while you do that, you're continuously competing and fighting as busy as you can. Yep. And then you've got your opportunity with UFC, and here you are fighting in the biggest card. But I want to go back and just ask one thing. Your previous fight, the knee bar, what was going through your head?
I think everything. It was like 52 seconds of control of the knee, but I felt like 20 minutes, to be honest. But because I'm undefeated and I want to become youngest UFC champion, I'm willing to do everything in the cage to not give up. I'm going to fight all the way. And I went through some things in life that tougher that knee bar. People don't see your own lifestyle, but I think I went through harder stuff in my life than this knee bar. This knee bar is like, okay, 52 seconds. It's not like 1 year you're living in a refugee center, for example. You know what I mean? So I think you have to sometimes wait and handle the pain instead of sitting at home. Imagine after knee bar, I still would have get injury and also tapped. Imagine this. Imagine just having a recovery with their defeat. But now I'm ready to go. Only since March time people say he never walk again. I just hit my deadlift 175 kilogram, but I'm competing at 57 and I still hitting my records because I'm still growing. I'm only 23 years old.
Were you prepared to have your leg broken?
Again?
No, at that time.
That time I didn't care. To be honest, there was some clicks in my knee. There's about 7-8 clicks. Even my opponent said this interview. He said I heard he's clicking, and at some point it stopped. I thought now it's gonna snap, but I knew in my head he's a black belt. If he can't finish me in his area, what else he can do?
Yeah.
He can't knock me out. He cannot do. Once you let it go, I'm like, hey, he broke mentally. He broke.
Yeah.
And I tapped him away. He never been finished. 14-2 record, and I finished him.
No, that was something a spectacle to watch. But you mentioned that you've gone through so much in life that the knee bar is nothing compared to the life you've been through and the challenges you've been through. I haven't heard much, or you don't talk much about it, about that literally those lives, that what you had to go through when you reached when you were a refugee in UK, and the things that you had to go through to earn a living. Yeah. Could you tell me what was that time for you like?
It was hard time, like first year in UK, don't know any English, don't have any friends in school, don't understand the culture, the jokes they have in UK. Sometimes I still don't understand, but at that time I'm like taking everything personal. Now I just have my own circle that I understand, so I don't get emotion to people. But in school I had fights. They want to kick me out from the school, and if they kick me out, I would go to different school which have wrong circle. You know, they're all naughty kids in that school. Maybe I would never end up being fighting. Maybe I'd be in jail right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about your circle, and it was tough. I want to go back to Dagestan at that time, but my father said, "Stay here. What you doing?" I didn't understand. He's showing me better life.
Yeah.
I would rather work in petrol station in Dagestan than getting ready for new culture. But that what I went through, it built me who I am today, the man I am today, and make me psychology stronger.
And you will also have to make a living for yourself. You know, you had to start earning and make a living, and you had to get different jobs to do that. You know, and we're talking about you at that young age, and was it hard to get different jobs, to get work and get paid and make a living?
I was, to be honest, shy. Every time like cleaning some office, I see like maybe girls look at me like I'm cleaning office there. You know, like I feel shy, and I was giving leaflets out. I remember to like open every gate to put there was a pizza leaflets, giving them out. I was shy. Maybe somebody my age see me. But now, these days, if I see somebody working like this, I respect this guy. I respect this person, because they want to improve in their life. Not sitting in the comfort zone, not sitting at home. And I think God see you when you trying your best to change your life, and He changes your life.
Yeah. No, definitely. You have a fight coming up, but I don't know how much you've changed from the person that, you're still, like you say, you're 23 years old. It's not like you're 50 years old, but you're still 23. You had a fast-paced career, but very calculated. You thought about it, you know what you're doing, and you knew how to take it step by step. And it was all, I would say, a controlled chaos. And you wanted that, and you were thriving in it. But how important is it for you today? I mean, let me ask you, put it this way. What does March 29th, 2024 mean to you?
And the end of the date of my goal to become English UFC champion. And I still believe I can do it, because this fight gonna take me to top 7, top 8 in the world and beating Tim Elliott, ex-fighter who fought for the title, who has a ton of experience, over like 20 fights in UFC. I believe I'm gonna make a huge statement, which you see have to put me for the title shot. Maybe one more fight after this, because after this fight, I will have longest UFC winning streak right now in division.
Amazing, yeah. And that's why I was thinking, like, because I know since the day I know you, you always said that I want to be the youngest UFC champion, and I will make it happen. And that was so much a part. And I always felt like the 7 fights in 1 year, the 4 fights when you entered UFC, all of this, everything was a part of your how fast you want to sprint and reach there. How much of your career or your dreams of becoming an MMA fighter or MMA champion, or your legacy as a fighter, how much of that is this being the youngest champion of UFC? And also to follow up, if that does not happen, how much of that motivation is going to be lost from you?
It won't be a loss. I'm winning. I'm making history for myself, for my family, for my team, for my friends, making money, changing my life and my team too. And it won't be a loss. It will never be a loss. Even if I retire right now, I believe I've done a lot for my age, and but I didn't come through so many things to retire at comfort zone, and I believe when I become youngest UFC champion, I'll be a huge example for younger generation, especially that moving to new countries. Don't have to be like refugee. You can be like moving from Bahrain to Dubai, having nothing. Like, I don't think somebody from Bahrain moving to Dubai will have nothing, but you will have no friends. You will be in different society, not comfort zone in school, in college, in university. So you have to get used to it. Yeah.
Where do you? What's your dream? I mean, what's the most important thing for you? I mean, MMA was so important in your life, and you're also a family man. And what are the priorities in your life currently?
Currently, for my kids, have set up life. I don't want easy life for them. I want they grow up like have to see some challenges, not like that gonna pay for everything. See some challenges, because when you see the challenge, you become a great human. You respect what you get given, and you have to earn it. You have to earn everything in your life. Earn respect, earn the money, earn like your education certificates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You cannot get everything for granted. You know.
Would you want your children to be MMA fighters like you?
No, I have a daughter at the moment, but when I have son, I want him to be like compete in Olympics.
Yeah.
Compete in Olympics, and but more I want for my daughter education. Education is the power that don't need any muscles, nothing. It's power in your brain is you're most powerful. You can be strongest man in the world, but if you don't have a brain, you're a dangerous guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dangerous for society.
Absolutely, and I think that's something when you talk about fighting as well. The fight IQ, the knowledge of knowing the business around you, and being aware of all of these things. That's a big factor of understanding this your mindset as well. You know, and how do you have the empathy to know people and what they're looking for, and being able to become a fighter, a motivator, an inspiration, and an entertainer at the same time. And you combine them together in a perfect flow, and we see that results. But we always knew, and that's a question I'd like to ask you, is that we always knew from history of UFC, at least I think it was 17 or 18, I can't really remember, but there was one time where UFC didn't really like the flyweight division, and they always had this issue with what the lower weight class are and what flyweight division is, and they always felt like it is not selling enough pay-per-views, it is not doing a lot of things. Even though they must have one of the most dominant champions in the weight class, and they still didn't go forward, and there was a time they almost cut that weight division.
Yeah.
I'm sitting and looking at it now, and I don't know what you feel, that you're going to change Dana White and UFC's mindset, and you're going to bring back a new era of what everybody's been talking about, the flyweight division. I feel like you could change that story. You're bringing excitement, you're bringing entertainment, you're bringing everything that we're looking to see. Do you feel like you're going to change Dana White and UFC's mindset about flyweight division?
100%. I think I already done for flyweight division. People start talking about it. People want to see because of me. I think and Brendo Moreno there who made history because of his charisma. He got kicked out. He came back, win the title. People like him, me. There's I don't know many flyweights, but that people have a history, make change of the division. People start watching the division, who he's gonna face, and then he start looking at other people's history, and I hope I'm gonna change his mind because it's wrong to quit some division because we are small. Don't mean we can't fight. I think, to be honest, I think I will fight for the bantamweight title too.
Okay.
I believe so. Because most fights I have in bantamweight, whole my amateur career were bantamweight. Some fights in Brave I had bantamweight division, and I felt really strong. And there's no even one round away that I gave away in the bantamweight division. And I believe I will fight for the bantamweight to show. There's a Henry Cejudo example who done this before.
Yeah.
It's possible.
No, absolutely. And you, as your goals set is get that flyweight division title as a youngest champion, move into bantamweight division, get that title. That's the step-by-step process you're looking at.
I'm looking to that to make more history.
Yeah.
To be champion is okay, but you have to make something different to others.
Yeah, something that's not been there before. I think that's why I always feel like flyweight division, Brandon Moreno and few guys that actually brought back stability to flyweight division. They made sure that it is here to stay.
Yes.
But we didn't have that individual that's going to make that division one of the most interesting division, you know?
That's right.
I think that's where you're coming in and you're making that statement at flyweight division.
Yes, I realized, to be honest, he fought like Davis and Figueiredo 4 times. I mean, like, okay, you give him 2 times, they fought 2 times. Now change something else, go to bantamweight division, try yourself, and then come back to flyweight if you're not good at it. Like Cody Garbrandt did, he went to bantamweight, he was fighting bantamweight, and he tried to go to flyweight, and he tried something different. You know, you cannot stay in the fight for 4 times. You make the division slow, and because of these 4 fights, I think it slowed down the whole division for past 2 years. Now, eventually, Davis and Figueiredo can't make weight anymore for flyweight. He moved to bantamweight, and now Moreno in worst position because now there's Brendan Royval versus Pantoja. They're fighting for the title, and the hungry guys coming to beat Moreno, and he's in that situation. I think he's more in lost situation than he would have fight for the title bantamweight.
If you had to do the UFC flyweight division ranking, where would you put yourself? You're 11th in the ranking now.
Yeah, I'm ranked. I would say I'm okay in this position, but like by my results right now. But after this fight, I deserve to fight top 5 guys, because beating Tim Elliott and beating Cody Durden is ranked number 15 now.
True.
Who I finished in debut. He's on 4-fight winning streak, and beating second ranked guy Tim Elliott, I think I deserve to fight top 5 guys.
Absolutely. And tell me about the fight. Tell me. I don't want you to take a lot of information out, maybe if you don't want to, but tell me about what are you feeling. I mean, the fight's happening. You know, everybody knows how much experience he's had, and he's been fighting. I don't know. I think he's been fighting since 2009, if I'm not mistaken. That's
I was 9 years old.
Yeah, true. But think about it. So the experience level and how much. I mean, there's nothing that this guy. We know that he's not coming there with pressure or he's going to a different country. I mean, he's seen everything and all of it. You know. So when you're looking at him, I'm sure that there is something in your mind as a fighter, and a fighter with the mind who has IQ is looking for weaknesses. Is looking for where I can capitalize on. So when you're looking at him, what are you seeing?
I think he's tired of this game. He's 36 years old. I don't underestimate it. Don't think like I underestimate this guy. He's like 36 and I'm gonna walk past him. It's not. He can read. He move around. He feels the cage. He fought guys like Dimitris Johnson, Ali Bagaudinov, the top guys in the world. He fought Zach Markovsky, and there's Matthews Nicolau. There's so many top fighters he actually fought, but I think he's a dog fighter. He just come fist fight, awkward like his nickname.
Yeah.
And I think he's seen everything, but what I haven't seen is the road to title, top 5, and that's what make difference between me and him.
You're more hungry.
More hungry versus old, young generation versus old generation. You know what I mean? So you're gonna show the experience versus he has experience. I have even better experience amateur career. I would never say amateur fights were easier than some fights in UFC.
Yeah.
And I will prove that when I become champion.
No, yeah, that's true. I mean, the mindset wise, you had a much different mindset than all the years of pro fights. You have the time to learn the opponent, and your career at the amateur level, it was just fight, go there and fight whoever's in front of you. It doesn't matter. So yeah, definitely I get that part as well. Do you think that there's any area in the fight, whether it's the striking, whether it's the mentality? For sure, you said that you are more hungrier athletes, and I totally agree with you there. But in terms of techniques, do you feel like there is an area where he must be thinking that he's more superior than you? I wouldn't say that. You feel like your opponent. I think he thinks that he has better wrestling than me. Do you feel that?
Not really. He has no background. Like I said, he has no background. He's an awkward fighter. He comes to fight. He's like a dog, street fighter. I can beat him striking on the ground. Whatever fight goes, whatever I take the fight, that's where it gonna go. I'm most skilled fighter in this division. There's some fighters that have like BJJ background, or either they have boxing background, or there's no wrestler in this division right now. There's no wrestler who is coming from the wrestling division, and I think I'm more round fighter than anyone in this division right now.
No, crazy. And I really look forward to this fight, man. I think that you're carrying a lot of things along with you on the way. A lot of people who are inspired by you, a lot of people who believe in you. And you've been one of those people who's like, wherever I go, however it is, you're carrying your people with you. You've been always loyal to your teams. Well, the people that's helped you and people who've been around you. You always mention that. And I know that, like you mentioned, His Highness's relationship with you, this was from a WhatsApp message when you were 15 or 16-year-old. And I remember tagging me on it. But since then as well, I mean, your relationship with him has been literally like a small brother and a big brother, and you've had a really good relationship with His Highness Sheikh Khalid. And what's been that like? Like, what's the relation like? What does that mean to you? Where is that years of knowing you from an Instagram to where you guys are today with leading the KHK team, the camps that's happening here, how big you His Highness Sheikh Khalid and yourselves and all of you have taken this brand and the initiative, what he's been doing. I mean, what is the journey like?
To be honest, I would say he's like, what other royal families supports team like this? What MMA team they support? Maybe some roles like supports individual fighter, but whole team, amateur and professional career, this is not royal sport. This is not horse racing. This is not like a golf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is for this sport. Like 10 years ago, nobody would recognize this. Like they said, dog fighting or like
human cockfighting. I think.
Yeah, this horrible. Even my father, like 5 years ago, used to say this like, this is not sport. To be honest, like not elite sport. But now it's getting bigger, right? So it was a lottery for him to support us fighters, investing a lot of money. He don't know maybe the fighter lose tomorrow, but why should I invest in him? But he still believes in us, believes in whole team. He doesn't just support me; he supports the whole team, the sparring partners, coaches. We have like anytime we're coming to Bahrain, we have apartment, car, everything sorted for us, and he's not like he's sending people to do it for us. He stays in touch, whatever we need to do, help. Especially he's busy with stuff going on around him all the time. Yeah. He stay in touch with us. I'm young to him, but he's like a big brother to me.
Yeah, and that's why I say there's always what's special about him is not just the initiatives or the support of investments or the money. So it's because we feel like part of a family, and he makes us feel that. I know we were the time difference in Oceania was so much when you were competing there. Was it? It was Australia.
It was 2020 March in
Yes,
Australia.
I remember I was really sleepy, but we had this time difference, and it was. I remember we were waiting, watching your fight, and getting you on a video call as well, and talking to you at that time. So that's something we always say that what makes him special and how different he is, and what also motivates us as KHK and the organizations that's around him to go and do so much more. Because if I always feel like if that's what I got from him, how much can I do for somebody else? And that mentality comes into me that do I deserve it? If why was that happening? Why did he support unconditionally? That's the right word, unconditionally, completely supporting, regardless of whether you turn out to be a fighter or you're not good at it. It doesn't matter. And even we are not part of the sport anymore. We're still going to be that relationship will never die. And that's always going to be there. And that faith is something we have before anything else that we have in terms of relationship and support. I feel like that's been unique, and I think that's also shows in the team's success. Whether it's world championship in winning world championship in wrestling, or getting the King's Cup in football, or winning Ascots in horse racing. I mean, every part that he's involved in as a KHK sports group, it's been amazing. Except I think Renato is the only problem we have, but I'm just kidding. We can cut that part.
You know why? Because he competed himself before. He respects what
Yeah.
journey we're going through. He competed himself. He used to come to train with us, and he understands what we're going through as a fighters. He did weight cut himself.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't understand what cut weight at the moment, right, Shahid?
No. I can't even spell what that is. So no, it's amazing, man. I mean, great. Just one last question, because you mentioned that, and I thought I had to ask that. When you decide to be a fighter, you start doing your amateur fighting career, and when you decide you want to be a fighter, you mentioned that your father didn't really think that this was a sport. Yeah. But when was it always that way, or when did that change?
To be honest, when I left college, he told me, get out my house. I said, why? Because he's a building engineer. He's 2 degrees in buildings, and he's all about education. He did box himself, but he said education is the power. How you gonna feed your family if you have an injury or something like this? But I always believed in myself. I said, whatever, if I got injury, I'll do something else. But I believed, and once I start like changing my life, changing his life, whole my family, and he said this is good sport. Yeah.
Yeah, I told you so. But yeah, I'm not gonna. I know that you have a busy schedule and you're training and you're resting, so won't take much of your time. I want to wish you all the best for the fight. We'll all be cheering you as KHK team, and it's a symbol for us to be proud of as one of the biggest names that has been in Brave Combat Federation as well. You've been in UK for so long. You have to support a Premier League team. I mean, even if they're not in Premier League. Do you have a favorite football team?
Wigan Athletics.
Yeah.
I support. They actually helped me with the recovery as well for my knee. When after my knee, I couldn't extend for like 8 weeks. I was doing rehab with them, and I think this team will be in Premier League very soon.
Yes, look forward to it.
Also, I want to thank all the Brave team, whoever works behind the scenes. You, Shahid, the Sheikh Khalid, whole KHK team with all coaches that believed in me and still believing that I become youngest UFC champion. And one day we sit here with the belt on the table.
Very soon, very soon.